remember the moment when I figured out what I wanted to do, and it was water. I mean, it's obvious we all realize how important water is for health and for life and in general, but it struck me all of a sudden. I realized that that's what I wanted to do, and I was going to totally change my career. For so many of us, we're restored through nature. A connection to nature makes us whole again, and it makes us more human and makes us feel better. Over the next 5 or 10 years, I hope that Santa Cruz can realize that we have a place to get away, a place to restore through nature, and the San Lorenzo River is that. For our quality of life, for our public health, for economic vitality, for fish and wildlife habitat, that river does a lot for us. I want us to know that more and more over the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of communities around the state and around the country have these urban river revival stories. And what we have in Santa Cruz could be a lot better. I feel really lucky. If I wasn't doing this work, I would wish I was.
All right. It's good to be here. My name is Cliff Hodges. I'm the founder of Adventure Out. I would like to thank Stripe for recreating my home on stage. It makes me feel very comfortable up here. It's such an unbelievable honor to be presenting this award to Greg Pepping. This isn't going to be long, but it's going to be longer than 45 seconds. Greg Pepping is one of the most phenomenal human beings I have ever met. And I did not just meet him last week. I've known him for quite a while now. He's a very, very good man. I met Greg Pepping on Craigslist. Now, before your imagination gets too out of control, let me clarify which category on Craigslist I met Greg Pepping on. I met Greg Pepping on the room for rent category. Okay, you sickos. Long before, yeah, so they say. Long before my professional path crossed with Greg's, I had the pleasure of living with Greg. Before Greg and I lived in the palatial mansions we live in now, we rented a home together. And it's many years ago now, and it was such a pleasure getting to know Greg. And the thing that I learned about Greg that I don't fully know if Greg knows about himself. I'm not about to make fun of him. I'm about to say something really nice. Greg is, at his true inner soul, is a believer in the human experience. When Greg goes home to visit his family in Iowa, he takes the train, because the train is a much better experience than flying. When Greg follows the Chicago Cubs, poor guy, Greg listens to the radio, because that's the way America's pastime is meant to be followed. When I invited Greg to live with me after meeting him on Craigslist, before accepting the invitation, he came over to my house and sat on the porch for an hour by himself to make sure that he appreciated the experience of living in that location. Greg is a phenomenally beautiful human being, and he has a vision for our collective experience on our river, in our river, and on the river levee. And I believe in him 110%. And I am so excited that Santa Cruz has him, and I am so enthralled with his vision, and I am so honored to call him both a fellow NEXTie recipient and a good friend. So without further ado.
Thank you, Cliff. You know, Cliff knows how to make fire. He made this fire. I was worried that my speech might be a little bit too serious, and then he did that. That moved me. I feel like I've been invited into a prestigious club. It's called the NEXTies, but it might also just as well be called the Badass We're Getting Stuff Done Club. They gave us rules for this speech. It has to be under 5 minutes. We pledged an oath not to speak of the hazing and joining this club. They said, talk about yourselves, talk about your work. I accept this award as the community's recognition that the Coastal Watershed Council and our board and our staff and our volunteers and our donors have hit on something with the San Lorenzo River Alliance. Well, the city has staff that are working really hard every day to improve that river, and the county has staff doing that as well, and nonprofits and researchers and individuals, just do-gooders, people trying to make that a better river. While they're working hard every day, up until now, there's been no mechanism, no unifying force to leverage all of that energy into one powerful thing moving forward. So in December of last year, the Coastal Watershed Council formed a coalition, an alliance, the San Lorenzo River Alliance. And the goal of the San Lorenzo River Alliance is to transform Santa Cruz and reconnect us to that river. That river that is the largest watershed in this county. That river that for 92,000 city water customers was 64% of their drinking water supply last year. 64%, and yet in this drought, how many of us know that? That river that since 1982 has been illegal to take a canoe or a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard in because of a city ordinance. And that river that used to be teeming with fish, coho and steelhead, so many fish that droves of people from all over came to Santa Cruz, and it drove our local economy. It was awesome. And it's much different now. And that river that flooded this community multiple times, most severely and most recently in 1955, killing over 10 people and destroying properties, homes, and businesses. Destroyed so much that within a couple years we had our first flood control system, the levee system that you know now. And the levees have protected us, but they've also walled us off from the river. Physically and psychologically, we're disconnected from the river. And since those levees went up, for many of us, for decades, we forgot about the river. Meanwhile, in Paso Robles and in Napa and in Chico and Sacramento and Redding and even in Los Angeles, they have urban river revival stories. They have a place that's hip and cool, a good vibe, a place they're proud of, a draw for residents and tourists, a place they want to showcase to visitors. And what do we have in Santa Cruz? We have an okay river. It's actually pretty cool. And some of us enjoy it. But we can do a lot better. And I'm here to tell you it's happening right now. The Coastal Watershed Council is working with our partners, the city, the county, and a bunch of nonprofits, and a bunch of individuals who care. We're cleaning up the river, improving the water quality. We're changing, hopefully, that paddling ordinance so you can paddle there. And we want to have as many events as we can. We want to have birding and history and music and art and dance and drink and movies and education and anything you can imagine that's fun. Getting people down to the San Lorenzo River so that it's a destination for young and for old and for families and for lovers and for students and for picnickers and bikers and walkers and hikers and yogis and CrossFit nuts. At Santa Cruz, maybe we should have a gluten-free river walk. If we do that, if we connect this community to that river, if we build a constituency that feels a sense of ownership for the San Lorenzo River, our local leaders will listen to us, and we'll have to change it. If we do that, you, connected to your gadgets and your technology as you are, and I am too, we will have a place to restore ourselves through nature. So many of us are connected to nature and restore ourselves that way. We'll have that right in Santa Cruz, this beautiful thread, this ribbon of nature going right through downtown. My hope is that we can change Santa Cruz by reconnecting to the river. The San Lorenzo River Alliance is a local success story. People are stoked about it. The timing is right. And we've already succeeded in changing the conversation from one of negativity and blight and frustration, a drain on local resources, to one of possibility, to one of hopes, to one of community dreams, to one of positive possibilities. The timing is right. It's here, folks. Each of us, in our own way, loves that river, and for many of us, in ways we have not even discovered. I'm asking you to share that love. Thank you, Santa Cruz Next, Event Santa Cruz. Thank you, all of you, for being Santa Cruz. See you out there in your favorite watershed.